this interview with Christian, with Pablo Martin, because you are the host. I am the invited guy, so whatever. And this is take one.
Pablo Martin Caminero. Thanks, man. Thanks for doing this interview with me, making time.
Thanks for coming to Spain and playing with us.
So, for people that don't know, Pablo is a friend of mine for almost 20 years, since we first started working here in Spain. And you're one of my favorite composers, one of my favorite musicians, also a really, really close friend. And so glad that I got to come back, because I thought it'd be perfect to talk with you on the Creative Strings podcast about your perspective as a classically trained bass player who then went on to find a love for jazz and flamenco. And you've really been at the intersection of this amazing, distinct Spanish sound, which fuses all these different things. So, am I correct that you went to Vienna for classical school?
Yeah, I started with 17 years old here in Spain, in the north, in Vitoria and Bilbao, in conservatories. Even at that time, there was no double bass in my school, so I had to go out. And then when I was 20, I got to 1920 to the Vienna, ¿cómo se llama? La Escuela Superior de Música, so this school, Vienna school, so I went there, and I was there like 5 years doing the classical, all pure classical, like Viennese school is like a very good classical double bass school, so I was training that, and then I started to just hear and out of love for jazz and for improvisation and for other kind of musics, like parallel, I was like in the night I was like going to the jams, and in the day I was like the nice student, Vienna, school, whatever, no?
Yeah.
So I was like living two lives.
Wow. Okay. Cool. And then when you finished at the classical academy in Vienna, you came back to Madrid right then?
Yes. I just finished and I came back to Madrid.
And then you started working in the jazz scene?
Yeah. Immediately when I got here, there were not many bass players in Madrid at that time. That was end of 99, so year 2000. So pretty much immediately I started working. I started doing some jam sessions, and I was already into flamenco. So almost the first year I started to play with nice jobs, and from there I started to go with Gerardo Núñez, a master for flamenco guitar, and with Chano Domínguez, master piano jazz flamenco. And from there, I just started, and pretty much I did some gigs with symphonic orchestras, which was what I was trained for, but I just was too much into improvisation and into other kinds of music, so I just was very focused in that. And still today I do some Baroque stuff, not much classical. I play Baroque. I have this beautiful instrument here to play Baroque, but mostly I'm into my music, into music for films, we've done things together too, and into this world of just discovering about myself and what I can bring. If I stay into classical music, only probably I wouldn't investigate what's inside, if that concept is okay, and what can I bring, and flamenco is a very big part of what I like and what I do, and of course jazz as a mother culture, as a mother music, master music as a conceptual thing, like improvising and language and fusing different things, mentality, this art of freedom, of trying to look for yourself. That's what I am focused in.
So jazz, to you, it sounds like you're kind of you're sort of defining jazz in a certain way as representing the freedom to create something and also the flexibility to fuse different things together.
Yeah. Probably originally, and here the view we have in Europe, I would say, is like jazz comes from New Orleans originally, and from this black culture, Black American culture, like started, we have this idea and there is all this development. It happens the same in flamenco music, like gypsies and not gypsies. It was a fuse of all together and created this art of flamenco, no? And I think it's pretty similar to what happens in jazz with black and white people, and of course now all kinds of races, no, in jazz. But for me now, and I think the view we have a little bit, or at least I do, is that jazz has become much more than that. Maybe that, in my view, would be like the American classical music, no, and jazz kind of has become like a concept, no, that has to do, at least for me, with looking for your freedom while playing, and of course the improvisation, no, and very basically, technically talking, like this melody with this harmony, let's do new improvised melodies on this structure, no? That like a very but that has been as well in classical music, like theme and variations, for example. So it's an old technique, but basically I would say that jazz is already like a mother music. It's something bigger than only that, no? If I may.
That's your interpretation. I think that's really important, because I think one thing everybody can agree upon about jazz is that people are defining it in different ways, everywhere. So, nobody can really agree on it. But I like what you're saying. Like there's an origin of the music, and it's important to respect that origin. But then there's this sort of global trend now where people are borrowing from this and taking it in different directions. And I love that you made a connection with flamenco music, because I had no idea. I mean, you're saying that there was this sort of traditional culture of flamenco music made by people within a certain culture in Spain, but now flamenco has become like sort of a broader thing. Is that fair to say? I mean, in Spain, I feel like flamenco has touched so much of the sound. Is that fair to say?
Yes, here in Spain, yes.
Like the pop music, the jazz, like any kind of music, like you can feel this flamenco quotes and energy and things, right? Or not?
So I think, it's quite a difficult thing, because historically there is so much going on, no? But in Spain, and maybe the economical part of it has something to do, and is that the number one cultural product of Spain, export, how can I say that?
Cultural export, sure.
Is flamenco.
Wow.
So
got you.
The people that relate to flamenco are the people who are working the most, especially outside Spain, no? So many people as well saw, maybe like me, like, okay, this is an opportunity, but not only economically, which we are professionals, we have to live from something, but there is a very wide open field for creation, no? Of course, I started with this out of pure love. I would hear Paco de Lucia, which is the reference for almost all of us, people that went fused with jazz and improvisation, that started practically with Paco, but there are a lot of references in there. And there are many, in my view, there are many reasons for this, no? And recently I told you I was doing this symphonic ballet composing, no? And the first thing, and I knew, but the first thing we heard from the responsible people was, this is Spanish national ballet. So there has to be a Spanish flavor. And what is this Spanish flavor? No, what is in the rest of the world? What comes to mind?
Flamenco.
Is flamenco, no? And there are many other things going on in Spain, from folk music, like very old. But flamenco is like the main, and that's as well because many young people are into flamenco, doing very new things, and flamenco guitar is a miracle.
Right.
Flamenco singing is a miracle. Flamenco dancing is a miracle. When you get to understand what's going on there, it's like a very deep, not only musical style, but a culture. So you can take a lot of resources from flamenco too. You hear that and you play with them and stuff, and it's amazing. But you can take a lot of techniques and
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah,
not only techniques like in the form of the music too, no?
Right. Yeah.
And
The
and
grooves
apply
and the
grooves.
chord progressions, the melodic style of improvisation, the inflections. I mean, so many
for
things.
example, this
Yeah,
thing,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
that is called a cierre, is a closing. So I see that technique in flamenco is like a energy going, and this I close it here.
Wow.
This is like
Ooh. It's like a new statement then starts or something.
yes, it's like a accumulation of energy and releasing. Okay, here we came to our destiny. Let's go on. That's a technique that
Wow.
I use in my compositions,
Wow.
for example, no, and that's the form of flamenco itself, no.
Wow.
So it's very interesting to play with these laws of flamenco and jazz and compose with freedom into those things. That's what I try. That's my idea.
That's great. I want to use the opportunity of this particular interview, and for people watching it on YouTube, you'll be able to. You should go to the description if you want, and definitely you should listen to the audio version because we're going to be playing a lot of audio clips on this. I really want to just like play a ton of your music and even some of the references you mentioned. So, folks, if you listen on YouTube, make sure to go to the description and look for the link to this at christianhouse.com, the Creative Strings podcast. And what is the first tune that we can play of yours that you'd like to play?
I hear of these two CDs that you have. I don't know. Maybe you can just of this blue one, which you see. This is well. It seems silly, no? This thing, but this relates to flamenco in a way. OVNI is UFO, unidentified flamenco object. So you see an object here, and it's flamenco because it has, these dots, no, lunares and stuff. But it's unidentified, no. It's kind of, and that is as well. Yeah, that is pretty flamenco in a way, but it's the hard case of my double bass of the old.
That's great.
So
what tune can we listen to off of
from this
unidentified
maybe
flamenco object?
The ballad, which is a Soleá.
Okay, Solea is that a form?
Solea de Gasteiz. Yes, Soleá is one of the mother forms of flamenco.
How many are the forms, by the way?
There are many, but this is one of the main because from here this rhythmic pattern comes other like alegrías, like
so it's an
Bulerias.
introduction, sort of. Usually, is the Solea usually the beginning, or no?
No. It's just.
But it can be the start of something else. Then.
Yeah, it's like a form, like you would say, like ballad, or you could say when you see in the real book funk, or you say medium swing or whatever, no, kind of something like that, no. And Solea is like normally slow and it has a deep energy, no, like.
And this tune, Solea de
Gasteiz is my city.
Is just your city.
Yeah.
Where you were born, in Vitoria?
Yes.
Near Vitoria?
It's the Basque name for that.
Gotcha. So, what should we listen for in this track?
Sorry?
What can we listen for? Is this a really traditional Solea? Or
well,
is
it's
it
interesting.
Like
there is an intro with a double bass because I'm the boss and I do whatever I want with my music.
Yeah.
Like that. And then there is flamenco singers. They do a lot of melisma. The melisma is a lot of I think so. What I did is a traditional flamenco Soleá melody. I took all the melismas out, and I leave like a very like a line, a melodical line, like very flat kind of, without. And I asked the guys to play it unison and the first part, and very flat, looking for this kind of blue atmosphere, kind of, and see what happens. And I remember the first day I hear that, I was completely blown, like, oh my God, this is amazing. And the harmony is pretty much the original. There is some original change, but pretty much the form of a normal Solea, but into a jazz with the escobillas. I don't know how you
brushes.
With the brushes and this kind of form. I was looking for that, and it came out like very, very nice. Yeah, I'm very happy with that.
So, is there another tune on this on unidentified flamenco object?
Yes.
Is how you say it?
Yes. UFO.
UFO. That's awesome. Is there another one on this record that you would like to check out?
All of them are, for example, interestingly, I would say OVNI, the one is called OVNI.
The title. Yeah.
Is a 7 groove.
Oh yeah.
That relates to the Bulería style.
Oh, like a Bulería but in
Yes.
7.
So like it has this energy, but it's in 7, no? So normally in jazz, I have listened traditionally. You guys have used like 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2
Yeah.
this kind of.
Yeah.
And I was not always, but pretty much that is the case, no? And I saw that if I use 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2, I can use flamenco techniques. That, for example, is one is called llamada, which is like an upbeat, like 1 2 3. So the first one is silent and the energy goes pam pam pam. No, this is a typical thing for dancing. So I thought, and then is the closing, the plam. This is typical. Thing. So if I do 1 2 3 1 2 1 2, I can do 2 3 1 blah. This is the. If we put the 3 here at the end, it's not possible. So it's quite interesting that you go 1 2 3 1 2 blah, boom boom boom. And both things work. So this is what I use in this OVNI.
Okay, so we're gonna listen. No? So we gotta listen for that.
And it starts like very high energy because my previous CD started very low energy, and I thought I need to so I started with a unison in 7, like pretty
awesome.
But it's another tune.
So we're gonna listen, and I one of the things I want to ask the listeners to do is, because I'm just guessing, and I don't remember. I've heard most of your music, but I can't remember by the title. But I'm guessing that if you're anything like me, the first time I came to Spain in 2000, and probably still now, if you try to count along 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 with the music, you'll probably get lost because of where these closings and where these these kind of dead beats, like you were just the setup beats. Because the way you put them, it's like such a specific clave, right? It's
well, you just said
it's a language.
You said the word right now. It's clave. Clave in Spanish has a meaning of, for example, like the reveal of the secret. That is the clave. The secret reveals itself, no? But it comes from llave.
The key.
The key, no? So, for example, Cuban music. Pac, pac, ca, 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 that is the clave, no?
Right.
So, I think all the music has a clave. For example, jazz, no? A swing has
like a swing
1, 2,
has...
3, 4, 1, 2. That is a clave, no?
Right.
And what is a clave? A clave is, we could say, is a rhythmical pattern that stays as like a mantra in your head and goes along the music, no? So for us, improvisers, we could say, the clave concept is key, is the same word, to play. And in Bulería, and I do a 13 beats thing going on that comes from flamenco too. The important thing is to have the clave in your head. Doesn't matter how long it is. For example, this 13 clave is 1 2 3 1 2 and that is a clave, a rhythmic. When that is in your head, like like a mantra, like thing,
right.
or the Bulería, 1 2 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10, then you don't think about one where is here 1 3 or whatever, but you just have the form in your head, no?
This is so key that you're talking about this, though, because like I remember when you first tried to explain to me a Bulería, and I was like, okay, so it's in 12. And I was like, so it's like 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12, and you're like, no, it's like un dos tres, or some this kind of thing, and I can never follow it. I still don't think
that's only a way to count because it's long.
Right.
But actually, is like a form. Is like something is there and it's in your head. Like
Right.
going around. Sometimes when you go with the singer makes the half and you go in the half of the... So it's not rigid, it's very open, but it's about listening, no?
This reminds me of bluegrass too, with all their extra bars. Because bluegrass has these kind of extra bars, and you just follow the singer when they come, you know. But this clave. So just one question. So to internalize a new clave, it sounds like you're saying you need to have the mantra. You need to like sort of almost like let that mantra play like thousands of times. Like it's really about immersion and time and experience with the clave. Do you agree with that, or?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Okay. Like things in seven, no?
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
No, for example, now that we are here and it's a easy example, no? That you're doing like I'm playing a little bit like shit for the people there. I'm sorry. I just want to make the point, no?
Yeah, that's so deep though. I mean, like I felt like you totally lost me. I feel like I'm riding like a bucking horse.
Yeah, but
you know what I mean? Like yeah, go.
Because you think, no?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
When you don't have to think, then you will never be lost because you don't care. It's just that is. Sorry for this.
This is perfect, man. This is why I knew there was some magic was gonna come out of this. This is what I want people to see is the magic of the music of Spain. And I mean, it really is magical. I mean, probably I'm guessing a lot of people, if they're like me, like I was, especially 17 years ago, and still to some degree, it's like it's elusive, you know, to hear the rhythm. And that's exciting. It's disorienting and confusing for someone for me as an American coming to Spain, never heard the clave. And, you know, and I had the chance to work with Daphnis Prieto for, you know, a few years, you know, in his band. And I'd already been to Spain several times, so I was already used to being confused and, you know, like, you know, overwhelmed. And like, so at least I was woke enough to know that like, there's a world of rhythm out there that I still need to be educated about and could get a lot from. And playing with Daphnis was a continuation of that.
Master Daphnis.
It was it was in him, not only him but also why am I? Oh man, I don't want to space on the saxophonist in Daphnis's band, who's also from
Cuba.
From Cuba, who's a great guy, and I feel embarrassed that I'm forgetting his name. I'm gonna make sure that I'll remember before the end of this podcast. But playing with, you know, those guys, it was a real education. But I saw that after 10 rehearsals, after 10 gigs, I was less lost. And so I felt that like, okay, it's just about immersion. It's about really living with the groove for a long time. And so many classical musicians, you know, I feel like this is even the idea of groove, period, for a lot of classical musicians is sort of elusive. You know, a rock groove, a swing groove, a funk groove, any kind of groove, you know, beyond maybe a rondo or an adagio or an andante. Although, would you say that these also are dance forms with claves or with grooves?
Yes, originally, yes.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
They're like suites are dances that form from the 18th century, but it lost that thing of the dance, no? But in general, and now you talk about the Cubans, it's amazing what they do. They have it so deep in themselves, but at the end, what I see in classical musicians in general, when coming to this other kinds of music, improvisation and stuff, is fear. And I think classical musicians in general, in conservatoriums, in Spain at least, but I think all around the world, they are educated to be perfect. They are educated to not to fail. They are educated like inside limits. That's the internal philosophy, no? You have to be in tune, and you have to be together, and the bow has to be perfect, and we all have this thing of perfection. We have to reach perfection, no? Other than let's just make music, no? And if you see, for example, African kids playing, their percussion thing or whatever they play, what you feel when I see that kind of natural expression of the music is fearless. They are just enjoying themselves, no? And that, I think, has happened originally with all folk music in general. No, there is not this sense of perfection, but there is a sense of community, of fun, of doing that what they love, no? But classical music, and maybe recently the new schools that has put laws to their music, then
you mean the jazz schools that,
for example,
that are being
then
kind of policing the music?
Claro, but then fear comes in the scene because suddenly there is a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it, and you have to do the right way. And suddenly there is a right way. When I see my flamenco friends, they, of course, they have this sense of being right or wrong, but it's completely different education. They are just doing their thing, and they are like, you see that normally there is not that much sense of being wrong, no? It's like when we play jazz and we are completely improvising, and like we did the other day, the Vivaldi thing, no? There was no sense of wrong notes. Everything was okay. No, when there is trust and there is, some knowledge or whatever, suddenly anything that you play is right in that moment, no? And that is for me the magic, and that is for me what doesn't used to happen in classical music. No, there is a big sense when a note is not in tune, then suddenly it's wrong, and everybody's But the other day we were playing, and there was not sense of that. Intonation is part of that, but it's supposed to be there because you are just doing your thing, but it's not like the G is like no. It's just music. It's happening, and everything is right, no?
Yeah.
And I try to teach myself about this, no? Like there's no wrong. I wish I would have this sense of there's no wrong.
So speaking of this, I mean, you have the perspective of a highly trained classical musician, like you went through that your whole life, and then you're also working with many jazz musicians who also have had school or education, but then you're working with truly, I guess, self-taught or street family taught, like Gerardo Nunez for example, and the true flamencos. How do you say it? A player of flamenco. How do you say it? Flamencos, the true flamencos, for example, from Sevilla maybe, or other places.
Jerez, especially the south.
Especially the south of Spain. How else can you talk about the difference between their approach to the music and the jazz approach and the clap? I guess what you just said maybe sums it up. Yeah. Is there anything else that you would say different?
Well, when you go to a conservatorium, there are laws all around. Everything that you learn is about a wrong and right, and your tendency has to be perfection in rhythm, perfection in intonation, perfection in the bow, perfection in everything, and you have all these laws, and the harmony, you cannot do parallel eighths or parallel fifths, tell that to Jimi Hendrix, I mean, he enjoys himself, and he did it with money out of parallel fifths, But there is a big sense of right and wrong.
Yeah.
And I think in this education we forget about the music.
The spirit.
And that happens, slowly has been happening as well in jazz. When a school goes through politics and it becomes an official thing and blah, blah, there is right and wrong.
Yeah.
And maybe originally, of course, there there is always right and wrong, but it's more an energetical thing.
Yeah.
In the jazz world, still when somebody goes there and does something objectively wrong, but with the energy and with the thing, everybody it's but slowly jazz has become, I think, school music.
Yeah,
people go and they learn the same rules, and that has been a process. I can't talk about that too much. Flamenco is still not with these official rules.
Right.
It's not.
How did you? But I mean, if you grew up in the north, and pardon my ignorance about geography and culture in Spain, but you come from the Basque region in Vitoria, and so if flamenco's from the south, how did you get to know flamenco music growing up, or did you just hear it just because everybody in Spain hears a lot of flamenco music?
No, in the north it's not very popular music. But when I was in Vienna, I started to work, so I was playing the bass, the electric bass, and there was a friend of mine. He's called Michel Boygard. He's a German Japanese half guitar player. He was playing flamenco, and he said, "Okay, you are a bass player and you're in Spanish, so you play with me flamenco."
Right.
So I started to know about flamenco deeper with him. I started to really listen to more flamenco, and especially Paco de Lucia and his band. That what happened there was absolutely amazing, and I just was completely into that, no?
And then so that was, you were 20, 22 years old or something when you were in college and just starting to get into this music. But then it was just shortly after that you came back to Spain and started playing with some of the top flamenco musicians. Gerardo Nunez, hopefully we'll be able to play some clips of Gerardo. But he's really a traditional flamenco, from what I understand.
He's come from
and
the
one of the
strict
best.
learning,
the strict flamenco. But then Chano Domingue was also a great flamenco, but from what I understood, he had more of a fusion project with jazz.
Yeah, he's a jazz piano player from Cádiz, and he has all this flamenco.
Okay, so he really has both.
Yes.
I hope we can listen to both of these projects, because I think it's interesting that we have the pure flamenco, but then also we have these fusion different flamenco. But what I was trying to get the point across to was that you really kind of became the first upright bass player to join in a lot of flamenco players, as far as I understand. Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean,
well,
and really even adding bass to the music, because wasn't it always just guitar with no bass? I mean,
yes, but Paco de Lucia has in his band had Carlos Benavent. He's like the master of flamenco bass, and even before there were some people already going into that, coming from the rock tradition.
Right.
No?
Okay. The rock. Was Paco more traditional flamenco, but he also combined rock and roll with it? Is this?
No, the thing is, Paco is originally a traditional flamenco player.
Okay.
But he is so good and so amazing. He was very curious about other things. So there is this famous project with John McLaughlin and Andy Meola.
Right.
And there it seems that he opened his views, and started to really take care about improvisation. He saw Aldi Meola and John McLaughlin like doing crazy things out of the blue, and he wanted that, So he went a lot into
fusion
that. But,
kind of direction, yeah.
But at that time he couldn't even read music.
Wow.
Normally, many of the flamencos that I know, they can't read music.
Gotcha. That's amazing. Well, so from some of these other projects, how about this album right here? This is Salto al Vacío, and it looks like this. And what can we listen to off this project?
Maybe, for example, this 13 that we were talking is the number 6.
Perfect.
Por Camineras, no? It's
Por Camineras.
Yeah, it's a 13 beats.
Yeah, 13/8.
Yeah, 13 or 13/4.
13/4. Okay, so 13 beats per measure, and you said so. A Bulería typically has 12, but you adopted it to 13, basically.
Yeah, because I mixed the seguirilla pattern with the Bulería pattern.
Wow.
Like in a way that counting is easy. For example, the seguirilla is counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is
Wow.
2, 2, 3, 3,
Three,
2.
two.
That makes 12, no?
Wow.
And Bulería goes 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. If you say
Wow.
in Spanish, because
Yeah.
of the phonetics,
Yeah.
they don't say one, uno as the one. They say
Right.
the two as the
Wow.
one, because phonetically is more comfortable.
gosh.
So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, which is the I want to live in America. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That is the pattern, no?
Yeah.
3, 3. So the other one was 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, and this is 3, 3, 2, 2, 2.
Wow.
So what I did is combine this, but that came like naturally, and the pattern is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3 is combining phonetically too.
Okay.
And it turns out that the beginning is seguirilla, and from the number 3 I take the bulería, and that pattern is 13.
Wow.
So when you teach this to a flamenco,
They get it right away.
at the moment it's like they finish like in a bulería way, plum, no, this,
Yeah.
and they automatically their head go to bulería. But when they understand the counting, they just surf there without thinking they are in 13. They don't care.
Right.
They just catch the clave,
Wow.
and then they just they understand it, and they play it without effort.
So you've played this with some like traditional flamencos
Yes.
who just like they picked it up.
Yes.
It wasn't a problem.
And there is this video that I have from the Caminero, the other record, that is in my YouTube channel, and there he's dancing in 13,
Whoa.
and he catched that dance that very afternoon.
Oh man.
He was a little bit getting crazy, but then and if you see that, you just cannot believe that guy.
Wow.
That's
We're
it.
going to link to that for sure. Okay, and what about now? I've got to ask you. I mean, like I said, I'm going to play a lot. I want to play a lot of your music, so it might even be more than what we talk about. But can I ask you about some of the original, the stuff that I got to work on your like one of your first records?
The first one, no, that we did here at home.
Melanie and
Yes,
these other
yes.
the symphony things.
Mhm.
Is there anything we can play off that one?
Yes, of course. For example, the Bulería,
Ah, yeah. What's the title of that track?
the Bulería Doméstica
Domestica, and the name of the record.
is Doméstica.
Ah, that's right, Domestica. So it's the title track. And what can you tell us about Domestica?
So, well, that was the time where I knew you, no?
Yeah, when we first met in early 2000s,
Yes.
maybe 2002.
And we spent nights here playing, and that was for me an experiment. I got my first Mac, and I bought a microphone, and I just wanted to learn how that goes, no? So I started experiment. So that CD for me is an experiment of what am I able to do. I mean, what can I have in my head and turn it into something heardable for other people, no?
It was like a first adventure as a composer and a producer, because you
Yeah,
wrote and recorded everything,
Yes.
overdubs, right?
Yes, even mix some of the tunes, and the idea was like to practically learn, not theoretically, but practically learn what it is about. No? It took me some years, but I went slowly, and I wanted just to do the whole process and learn in my guts how it goes. And if I have a problem, I have to look for a solution. It's not to read a book, okay, this goes like this, and then I'm going to apply it. But I did it just starting from scratch, like learning each step of what it means to record music. No? And first of all, you need the idea, and then you need to write it down or to teach it to somebody else. So that's why the opening tune is with orchestra, and you played many of the violins there, because I wanted to really do the biggest I could in the moment, like mixing a orchestra with a band. No?
And you've got, I remember on this Domestica, there's a beautiful bass. The bass takes the melody in this, right? Or a solo.
In the first tune, the bass takes the melody, the fretless bass, and the last tune of the CD is double bass solo, which is a very flamenco way too.
And this is It's done it. Yeah, and this is one of the things about you that I think is really distinctive too, is your soloistic style and ability on the upright bass. The fact that you, whether it's pizzicato or with the bow, that you take these beautiful melodies. So that's great. Okay, we're listening to Domestica. What's one other track we can listen to? Well, I wanna ask you about Melanie, because it's one of my favorite tracks, because we spent at least several hours, I think, probably like 4 hours trying like string, and you were sort of like, okay, now Chris, like for these 4 bars, start with ching, 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 and then maybe do this, and I was like, okay, well let me try this here. It was sort of one of the original moments for me of like really feeling so much gratification from collaborating with a composer. I mean, it was obviously your song and you had some ideas, but I was also like, Pablo, I've got ideas, I want to try this, and you let me do it, and we sat in this beautiful apartment right next to the center of Madrid. So is there anything else you would say about this song, Melanie?
Yeah. Can I say like bad words, or you put a P? No?
I think you can say
okay, guys, do you know what it is to have Christian fucking House in your place, and yet she's willing to do anything in your music? Do you know what that means? So I was using the master just to do,
I was your guinea pig.
He could, I mean, everything you did was like, bah. I remember specifically in that tune that we took time for the solo, for your solo, which is just mind-blowing solo. And I remember I was like, I went to explain you what is it about and what I needed from that solo. I remember like we did 2 takes, and then I stopped and I said, man, this is amazing, but let me explain you who Melanie is and what happened and this, and then you play the solo that is there, which is just I was kind of crying. I think I smoked a little bit something too.
But that was when you were very young.
Back then, very young. This is for kids. Take that out.
Okay.
So yeah, but I remember very well that, and then the arranging part. No, I some of the parts I had clear, but then you added a lot of magical things there, and I remember I was talking about the end. The
ocean,
sea,
the
ocean,
yeah.
And we were creating stuff out of images, no?
Yeah.
And that and my friend Leo Minax that we played the other day with him. He sings the tune. He put a beautiful text to it in Brazilian.
Oh, he wrote the
lyrics. Yes.
Wow.
I explained him as well the story.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And he wrote the lyrics for that, and he sings.
Would you? So this is Melanie. So would you describe? This might be the wrong way to say it, but would you say that the music you write is cinematic? And if so, what does that mean?
Yes, I have written a lot of music for images, for films, like for feature films and for short films and for commercials, like very interesting commercials stuff. And so my view of music, I guess, is pretty much cinematic. I like to have images in my head because I kind of have the feeling that can open a whole new world of things going on. So I guess I am very, very influenced by that way of thinking. Not even specific composers, but that way of thinking. No.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is a little bit of a side note, but on the few occasions when I've worked with film composers or producer, even just music producers, I find that translation is such a problem, because someone will say, for example, "Hey, can you put strings on this?"
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say, "Yeah, like sure. What are you hearing?" And they'll say, like, if it's a film director, they might say, "Well, it's about this character, and the character is having this conflict," and then I'll say, "Okay," and then I'll try to do something, and they'll be like, "No, but I don't want it to be high. It needs to be low." So it's a problem with translation, because like they're not telling me it needs to be high. They're not giving me literal instructions.
Yes.
I'm sure you must.
Yeah, they want to hear what they have in their heads.
Yeah, but they can't explain
They
it.
can't explain it.
They can only talk about this sort of like visual images, but they have it. But I think that's an interesting aspect of you is that you're actually bringing both of these together. Because if I'm with you, you'll say, "No, Chris, give me whole notes in the upper register."
Or
with
even write.
counterpoint.
I write a lot, but I remember in the feature film that we did, was my first symphonic film, there were parts that we did with David Quiggle at the viola, the three of us together. So I would put the piece of material, no, like there's this conflict, whatever, 1 minute and 36 seconds, whatever, and then we would talk. Okay, I see like this kind of atmosphere, and let's do whatever here. And we did one take, and then we would say, but look, and we would do another take, and then maybe a third take, and we just were improvising on the image.
Yeah.
And we were talking about, but maybe this ostinato and blah blah and blah blah, and suddenly we did amazing things there. So I think it is very, and I would love to have the opportunity to do a whole film with improvised music, with improvisers, musicians, even if it's a big orchestra. You put the big screen and you explain, okay, here is going this, and I would like to have this kind of colors, but anyone plays whatever they want, no? And one take, okay, I think this and that and this and that and that. To do a whole film like this would be amazing, because it's pure, that is really pure, you have no idea what's going to happen there. And it's very, very original, and what we did for that film, it's amazing. I have still it around and I hear it, and it's amazing.
I wonder if maybe we can play some. This is a film that you wrote the music for, a Spanish film, is that right?
Yes.
And maybe it's possible for us to play some of that on the
I can send you some of the things we recorded.
That's great. Oh, that's great. Maybe now there's got to be another track. Oh, I know a track that I really want you to talk about on for us to play, if you'll let us. Republicano. And as you know, my oldest child, Camille, is a huge fan of this song, as am I, and specifically of the recording that you did with Perico Sambiat, who's a saxophonist from Spain, he's a hero of mine. I mean, he's just amazing. But also the piano solo on this song by Borja, I think is completely just genius.
The drummer.
Just Borja is the drummer.
Borja is the drummer.
Sorry, and who's the pianist?
Abe Rabade.
Yeah.
From Galicia.
Yeah, it's a great piano solo. Is there anything else you can tell us about the Republicano?
Yeah, first, Camille, you made me cry with your version when I heard it. I have to tell her.
The arrangement.
Because I wrote you an email, like, I'm so touched. That was very amazing to hear that. And I think that is a very special tune for me, because I called it Republicano because at that time I was reading about the Spanish República. And Antonio Serrano, our common friend, he told me, man, call it Republicano.
Yeah, right.
And the thing is that years after I called it Republicano, when I composed it and then recorded, but years after I composed it, I discovered it was a canon.
Right.
So yeah, but not.
Boti.
But even in four, I play it like this there, like in the how do you say second note? No. Joder.
Sorry.
Una negra, una blanca. ¿Cómo se dice eso? Eighth note.
Okay.
This is canon to the fourth, no?
To the quarter note.
To the quarter, yeah, but not the quarter, but the blanca. 1, 2, 2.
Anyway.
Two.
Half note.
Half note.
Okay.
No?
Da is a half.
Yes,
note.
eso.
Okay. And then
That's a canon to the half note.
Okay.
But
eighth note to the half note is a canon.
Yes.
Somehow. Okay.
To the. Okay. Anyway, the thing is that to the four measures, it's a canon.
Okay.
So you play four measures and then you start the four. It's a canon like that.
And also.
It works like a canon. That's
four
easier.
eighths,
but to the four, because the
Wow.
harmony is changing the whole time.
Whoa.
So it's like kind of pre-natural canon, no? Which was I was very amazed.
You didn't even realize that.
I didn't realize it.
Did Antonio know that it was a canon?
No.
Oh.
That is the it sounded like, but I didn't realize.
Okay, that's great.
And I remember I did that with the bass in a sound check in Holland. I was playing with Gerardo, and that idea came. And then in Sun Airport, I thought I need a B part, and I did that jungle kind of B part.
The jungle, which is like a bass and drum kind of beat where the drums kind of really take the role.
Yes. But it has a very flamenco-ish kind of
Clave.
feel. Yeah.
And okay, so Republicano. So Republicano, we're going to be listening for the canon not only on the half note but also on the 4 bars
I think
level.
In the original version, when the melody comes back again after the solos, we did it as a canon.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, one more piece of music and some closing thoughts that you might have about anything you want to share. What's one other piece of music you might want to share, or some closing thoughts?
Well, I don't know. There's so many, but maybe there is a music in OVNI record.
Okay.
That many people told me about it, and it's quite amazing. Is this one Catharsis? Is Catharsis? No.
Catharsis.
It has like a first part which is like quite down or tranquilo, and there is a second part which is like whatever, like very. And many people told me they cheer up with that music, like suddenly. And that is written in the style of tanguillos, which is from Cádiz originally. It's a six tac, but the kind of clave is tac, boom, 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 no, in this.
So is it fair to say that that's kind of like a mix of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and
yes,
1, 2,
yeah,
and
it has
1, 2, 3, something like this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like if you're doing the third.
Yeah.
And because in this especially this has a big story, no? But there is some kind of catharsis from the change from that theme of is like, why is it happening to me again? Wah wah wah. And there is a middle part like intermezzo, like wherever tension glows, and then is this whatever. Let's leave and let's be happy. Whatever, no, like, and maybe for ending, the program is nice to have like a cheer up thing, like
absolutely.
Just let's be happy and whatever, no.
So Catharsis, we'll definitely listen to that.
And the final thoughts. Something came to my mind right now, which is not specifically music, but the other day I was in California, as you know, I was
at the Monterey Jazz Festival.
Monterey.
Congratulations, it's amazing, man.
That was really
well deserved. Yeah, with your
cool.
trio playing flamenco jazz arrangements.
And then in the University, Chapman University, which is in the area, in Los Angeles area, we did a concert and we had a chat, and they asked us a very strange question, and something interesting came, which is something like Game of Thrones. Who would you relate to, or what would you... Something like that about Game of Thrones.
Sounds like a very American question and answer, like submission,
Yeah. And then I said, I have no idea. I've been watching the show, and it's fantastic. And then I said, I think I have the answer to that, no? So maybe it's thought I would like to share.
Yeah, please.
And I think it's the real message of Game of Thrones. Which, well, I think everybody can see that it's a very dumb thing, no? But anyway, and who are you relating? Oh, I'm relating Jon Snow, and I don't whatever, no? And I thought, I think the interesting thing of this is the humanity. So we are in Game of Thrones, you see, and it happens to us. I think this is a big, nice metaphor of the show, no? We are all fighting each other, like, who has the throne? I'm going to kill you, and the terrorist, and this, and the planes, and I don't know, and everybody fighting against each other, no? and winter is coming. I mean, like, you know, it maybe it's a meteorite, or maybe it's the global warm temperature change, the
global
warm
change,
change. Maybe it's something, but it's definitely
Climate
coming.
change.
And when that thing comes, doesn't matter who you are, or if if you have bar like this, or if you have an American flag, or wherever you are, it doesn't matter. It will come, and we will have to be all together, because otherwise there is no way. So I think that is the great thing about Game of Thrones. So let's be together as human race and forget things, because when the thing comes, we are fucked.
Well said. That's my friend Valentin, who I just interviewed earlier today, and his episode's going to be on either before or after, and he just happens to be over here hanging out with us right now. Valentin, he said something very similar to me before we came up here. He said, some places in the world, like he said, Japan, for example, really suffered like a huge catastrophe. And after this catastrophe, there's, one might argue that it created this unity, because people really learned to empathize with each other. And maybe in other places where there have been similar, like true crises, true tragedies, and so that's just interesting to me that you said that right after he had said that like an hour ago, because it seems like you're saying the same thing, like, can we find a way to come together without needing this massive tragedy, such as the White Walkers?
Yeah.
Like, do we really need to have the White Walkers for us to?
But they are there. I mean, in another form or whatever. But that thing, whatever it is, and in the meantime, we are all like worrying about
petty
silly
stuff.
Things.
Yeah.
No, and we are so used to that. Of course, we are not guilty of some are and other not, but it's not easy.
Right.
But whatever it is, it will come, and doesn't matter what you do, who you are, and how money you have, and if you play good or bad or whatever, doesn't matter when the big thing comes. No.
Well, you talked about the social connection of the flamencos, for example, or the spirit that music is played with, seeking energy and seeking connection, and I think that's related, somehow. I mean, I feel like this part of what Creative Strings, I don't know if I've even had my t-shirt showing, but part of what, the mission of Creative Strings is to try to show or to inspire, I guess, musicians and music teachers in terms of how can we change the culture of what we do for the good. And I think as musicians, the ability to connect with each other, the ability that I had to connect with you and to connect with other Spanish musicians, and to be so inspired by the music here. That's part of the reason I wanted you to get on, because I want people to sense that magic. And so for the classical musicians out there, which is a big part of my audience, the string players who, like us, just receive this classical education, that's what we're trying to inspire for them. Is there one thing you would suggest to the string players out there?
Even there is a lot of competition in music, even between good musicians. Even you go to a jam sessions and everybody suddenly will judge you if you play well, if you don't play well, and there is a lot of pressure, and that happens, I think, in all statements, even in music, no? But the good thing is when you get, like it happened with us the other day, I respect you that you cannot even imagine, no? And I am like, okay, I'm going to play with Christian House. But suddenly when you feel that connection, which is beyond knowledge, which is beyond friendship, which is beyond anything, which is just a psychological form, when you get to have that, it doesn't matter who you are, what you do, the color of your skin, your culture, or your background, or doesn't matter. And suddenly you are in a common place where everybody can be, and there is no distinction. No? Maybe it's a little bit Zen or philosophical or whatever, but it's true. There is this mental state where there is no wrong, where everything is right. No? And for me, is the big teaching of music is that there is a possibility to live in that way. No, we have this lack of lack. I don't know. Maybe we are in hell and we don't know if that exists. No, but we have this lack of being alive in a spheric thing in the universe, like going so fast, and we are attached to the floor. Is amazing. Why are we not just? No, we have this lack, this amazing miracle, and we are just like, oh, I'm so unhappy, and there are my problems, and me, and this and that, and suddenly you discover that place, no, that whatever thing that is. We're not. I mean, we are so lucky, actually. No, it's so miraculous. No, maybe we are completely unknown in universe, maybe not, but anyway. It's really something remarkable, no? That we are here and talking, and this thing is recording. And I mean, it's like, what the hell? How did we get to this point? No, and suddenly we are fighting each other. It would be much more intelligent to try to build. I know I'm talking shit, no, but if you think it deeper, and that miracle happens in music, maybe not always, but we have this possibility, and that. Already to have the option to feel that, even if it's for a second, you connect with that, and then you see, man, I mean, everything is amazing. When you see a pregnant woman, you say there is a baby in there. I mean, and Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak do a mag, and we think, oh my God, she has a baby in here. He's doing eyes and ears and nails. I mean, a woman is doing that. That's engineering. That is amazing, no? But it's normal, and they even have problems, no? Pregnant woman in their jobs. You're pregnant, shit. And she's a goddess. I mean, and you know what I mean. So
sure.
Many times I think, oh, we are fucked up. Well, I don't know, I talk too much.
No, it's beautiful. Thank you so much, bro.
Thank you.
Thanks for taking time to share on this podcast. Appreciate you, bro. Hey, this is Christian Howes. I want to thank you for stopping by the channel and encourage you to click the link to subscribe to my free e-course for creative string players.